All right. Just a sec. Yo, Killah Bee, how you going, dude?
Hi, what's up?
Not much, man, and you?
1 sec, I think.
You're right, man. Take your time.
Go away. I wasn't muted on Mumble, so somebody was just responding over there.
No problem. No
I'm
problem.
doing good. I just got up. It was a pretty long night. It was,
Yeah.
I was up until like 5 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, nice. I was up until 9 a.m. my time. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty interesting day yesterday.
yeah, it was a huge day. And it's like the first time in a long time. It's the biggest battle in the history of the game. And who knows if it's going to be the biggest battle in the history of this war, but it was definitely fun to cover it and to be there. So give us like a general timeline for you. Like, how did it start out? Like, yeah, give us a timeline of the battle. Were you pinged by other alliances? Like, was it already known that this was going to be a huge fight that everyone in the Allied front would be forming up for? How did it start off for you guys?
Yeah, so we reinforced MTECO, which is the CO2 staging system. We reinforced the station, we reinforced the iHub, and we started posting ops for it. And then we obviously reacted to how much the CFC were hyping it, right? So we have access to the Goon pings, we have access to the CFC pings, so we knew, alright, all the CFC alliances are pinging for it, they're gonna form up really big for it, so we decided to do the same, pretty much.
Yep.
And yeah, well then the timer approached and numbers were actually like really big. Like we had eyes in the Goon staging system. There were like 600 dudes in the Goon staging system, and in the CO2 staging system there was like 500 dudes logged in. And we knew that also Razor and FCon would be showing up from Venal or from North, right?
Yep.
So we were expecting like a lot of dudes. But when we started forming up our coalition, we started realizing how many numbers we actually have, and then you know, we were kind of like, I was completely surprised by the amount of numbers we pulled in. It was great.
Yeah, it was huge. So what was the maximum number of the total? I think in system was it got up to 4,200 at one point.
Yeah, the biggest fight happened when we initially engaged the CFC forces in, let me see what the system name was, J-G on the MTECO gate. Is where we where we engaged them initially, and that's where the biggest fight happened. And I think the local peaked at like 4K people or 3.6K people, I don't know. But in total, there was like 5K people involved, spread over all the systems.
Right.
In the constellation.
Yep. And so you were also the only guys with any caps at all on the field, at least for as long as I was watching. It was just you guys. I remember seeing, I think, about 15 chimeras from you guys, but nothing from anyone else.
Yeah, so we were using triage cameras for the rattlesnake fleet that we formed together with our friends of Tissue and Lumpy.
Right.
And we also used triage carriers to entosis the nodes. It was actually like a entosising event, right? So we put triage carriers on the nodes and had them tank the enemy fleet, so our support would have time to actually go there and, you know, help them out.
Right. Okay. So one thing I wanted to ask, and there's a bunch of questions that other people are asking in stream, but one thing I want to know is how, because there's obviously, you know, a dozen or more different alliances as just part of the Allied front. How do you actually, like, within the combat itself, are you letting each other know? Are you all on the same comms? Because obviously you can't broadcast targets being in different fleets. Are you calling out targets on comms? Is everyone in the battle on the same mumble, or are you talking within game to focus fire, or are you not really worrying about that? Have you all different fleets firing upon different targets?
We obviously all have our own comms. We're not like we're not a coalition like the CFC is or the Imperium is.
That's right.
And everybody has their own comms. Everybody is really independent, but we have a Discord channel that we use to coordinate. And in that Discord channel, we have all the FCs of all fleets sitting in a comms channel, right? And we coordinate in there pretty much. So I tell the people what I think we should do next, and then they just do what I tell them to, pretty much.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Interesting. So what do you think is the next step here? So what do you think is going to happen next? What's going to be the next major sort of turning event in the battle? Or what are we waiting for to really see what's going to happen next in the war?
I mean, the last 2 weeks were pretty huge. We managed to like take down Veil of the Silent within a week, pretty much. because the residents had to leave towards the low sec staging of the CFC to group up with the goons, and we accomplished a pretty big victory in Tribute yesterday by having CO2 leave the CFC and winning that M-0 fight, right? So that was a pretty big thing. But like the war is it's far from over.
Yeah.
We like a lot of people make the mistake of taking the first few victories and then going into hubris mode, right? And then they just do dumb stuff, and that's what the CFC is really strong, and they are good at fighting the long-term war. So we cannot declare the victory yet. Like there's lots
for sure
to come. So yeah.
What's the goal then? I mean, that brings the next question. Is the goal complete destruction? I mean, you hear people in tests saying they want Declan, they want the Sov, but is that just propaganda? Like, what's the unanimous consent between the allied forces as to like how far are you going to go? Is there going to be a point where, you know, they're going to back off? Obviously, you might not want to discuss all this on stream, but what can you tell us about that?
I mean, the real goal. I mean, Reddit would probably say it's to kill the goon. For us, for me as a Pandemic Legion FC, and for us as the coalition, like I'm just super happy that there's actually something happening in EVE again, because since BTEC-R, nobody actually did anything towards the goons. Everybody was afraid of actually going for the goons. There were like some small skirmishes, and the goons lost some towers here and there. They lost maybe a system or two here and there. There was like no real major push for them, and I'm really happy that we managed to get a bunch of people together with the help of our friends from I Want ISK, and to actually like go for them in a real manner now and
create real content where people don't know who's going to win.
It's turning into a real war.
Yeah, it's not.
So I'm pretty happy.
No one knows what's going to happen, and I mean, even in like what I do with solo, that's the most fun, is when you take fights where you just don't know what's going to happen. You know, the outcome is not clear. You're going to have to really pull off some fun moves to get what you want done. And a lot of people, like I've only spoken to a few other people in PL, and I've had a couple of people say they don't even care. They don't care, you know, like they don't care about the end goal or whatever. They're just happy that there's content and that there's fights to be
PL is all about the fun and about the good content and getting fights and getting kills. That's what PL is about.
Yeah. Do you think in Europe, again, like if you're not happy answering or whatever, that's fine. But in your opinion, do you think that this war will continue to go until goons are completely out of Declan, or Imperium's, you know, been reduced to rubble? How do you think? How far do you think it'll go?
I mean, it's possible, but I think it's too early to say that yet. Like the goons are starting to get serious now. They've turtled up most their left alliances that are part of their coalition into Zaran, and now only FCON and Razor are still in the north. So we'll see how that goes, but it's definitely possible. Like Les already said it yesterday that he thinks that could be the end of the Imperium, but like I said, I don't want to go into victory mode yet.
Absolutely.
We've only won 2 major battles, and we've managed to accomplish some stuff, but it's not over yet. It's a lot of stuff to come, and I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a second BTEC-R sometime during this war.
And there's a few people asking, is that what PL wants? I mean, do most people in PL, are they keen for, like, there's been people saying in chat that no one wants another BTEC-R, you know, no one wants to be in 1% tie-dye with, you know, with a battle that's going to go for 24 hours or more. But I have spoken to people who say they would absolutely kill for it, and they were gutted that they missed the first one. And I know other people who were a part of it who said it was the best thing they've ever done in the game. Like, are most people in PL interested in having another BTEC-R? I guess is the best thing to ask.
I guess, I mean, it's a funny thing about fights like yesterday and fights like BTEC-R. People always complain about them because they are actually like super 8s, right? Because you have less than 10% tie-dye. You sit there, everything you do takes forever to actually happen. You know, yesterday was a 5-hour fleet straight up. So people always complain about it, but then they log in for them. Like everybody, for example, that logged in and joined the fleets yesterday knew that it was gonna be like that, because like we've been pinging for it for like a day straight. So everybody knew, alright, well, this is gonna be a tie-dye slugfest, right? Yep. So like people keep complaining about it, but I think everybody's actually like wants to be a part of it, to be able to say, oh, I was there afterwards, right?
Yes.
So I think, yes, if a BTEC R 2.0 would kick off, I think you would see a lot of people resub for that shit and just like log in, jump into the fight, and go ham.
Yep.
But do we want it? I mean, I don't think I would say, oh, I'm looking forward to have a BTEC R 2.0, but I think in a war like this, on a scale like this, it's necessary at some point, because there was gonna be a point in this war where we hit Decline, for example, where the goons are going to use their super caps and caps to, build a wall, I guess, and there's gonna have to be an escalation, otherwise you can't break that.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't kill 100 supers and titans with 1 quadrillion subcaps. There's a point where you just need to bring caps yourself to actually be able to escalate, and, I'm not scared to do it, and I will do it.
Great, that's what we want to hear, man. And if I've never done capitals before. It's not something I'm really into. But if I did, and even with all the tie-dye, it would be something that it would be an opportunity to jump at. I mean, these fights don't happen. I mean, there's been one full-on Titan fight in the history of the game. To be a part of that, even with all the tie-dye, I think it'd be something that most people would jump at personally. Okay, so let me look through some more questions. Oh yeah, so someone's asked, how do PL members make ISK, and do they fund the supers themselves, or does PL fund them? You don't have to answer these, obviously.
We don't actually fund supers. We have the luck, and this is actually a big thing in PL, which I'm super proud and super happy about, because when I, as an FC in PL, I go there and I invent a new doctrine or something, for example, I post it on the forums, I tell everyone to buy it, and everybody just buys it. Because in PL, the good thing is, like, most of the people in PL have quite some money. There's obviously some poors in PL too. Most of my corp is pretty poor, but like, there's like a lot of very wealthy people in PL too. So we don't have any super funding or anything like that. People buy the supers themselves. People buy the titans themselves. We have really good connections to Titan and super builders though, which makes it a lot easier to get them, and obviously a little bit cheaper too. So yeah, that's yeah, but there's no like super cap funding or anything. We do have SRP though, obviously.
Right. Okay. All right. Let me have a look through some more questions. Oh yeah. So what did you guys think about? What was the not just Pandemic Legions, but what was the sort of the idea after hearing about CO2 resetting Imperium? Is that something that you guys had expected, especially after defending so hard? I mean, they seem to be fairly, they were defending in the MTAC-O fight pretty hard, and then like half an hour after what's your thoughts on the whole CO2 resetting the rest of the Imperium?
I think CO2 has been a warrior within the CFC for the past time. CO2 has been by far, in my opinion, the strongest CFC alliance in the recent times. CO2 has been forming incredible fleets, fighting the low sec guys, and they've been doing an amazing job actually brawling people and doing their own thing. CO2 was the only alliance that I wouldn't have called a goon pet, whereas like pretty much every other alliance in the CFC I would call a goon pet, right? But CO2 I wouldn't. And what they did yesterday, I think, is a very bold move, and I respect them a lot for that. That they actually decide to reset the CFC and go their own way.
Yeah, for sure.
That's probably all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah, no worries. And what do you feel is going to happen with them? I mean, from what I don't know anything about whether they're going to be joining in on the side of the allies. There's been that offer from Iron Bank saying that if they do, then all their Titans will be SRP'd if they are to lose them in battle against the Imperium. What's your thoughts, if any?
I mean, CO2 already, like, we talked to CO2. I talked to CO2 leadership, and they said that they would they now reset the CFC, and they would like to actually go for the CFC themselves as well. So obviously we welcome them and as part of our coalition if they want to, but that's not decided yet, and that will probably happen sometime within the next 48 hours if it happens. But yeah, like it's not impossible. I think it would make sense for them to fight with us if they want to go for the goons too. So that's up to them. But if they want to stay neutral and if they want to stay out of it, it's definitely possible too. It's up to them.
Yeah.
They might join. We'll see.
We'll see. The next 48 hours, decision's probably going to be made. It's probably going to be made, boys. Guys, if anyone's watching that has any questions, someone asked, what is the process with coming up with a new doctrine? When you were talking about before about coming up with a new doctrine for your fleets, what's the process there?
Well, I mean, everybody can post. Like we have a forum section called Tactics, which everybody can just post the doctrine in, right? And then people like kind of discuss about it, and and we decide if we want to use it or not. But like, if I make a doctrine, I'm a really bad theory crafter, right? So
right.
I'm not one of those guys that is like an EFT warrior or anything. Usually, I go to the people that I know are good at EFT warrioring, and I ask them, yo, I want a doctrine that can do this, this, and this, and then they build the stuff, and they come to me and, yo, this is what we came up with, right?
Nice.
And then if I like it, I use it.
That's a cool procedure to have. Do you guys use Sissy much to test these sort of doctrines?
Oh, not at all. Like we don't believe in test server testing. I know there's a lot of alliances that do that, but we just use them in combat on TQ. If it's shit, then we lose it, whatever. But like we just test it on TQ and use it in battle, and if it works, it works, and if not, it doesn't.
That's baller. Fucking baller, mate. Any other questions from you guys? I'm gonna keep. I've got a few more here for you.
I saw one which was actually pretty interesting. Let's see if I can find it again. I have to scroll up. But it was from.
We're in no rush here.
What the fuck is it?
That's right.
I'm trying
Dank
to find
news,
it.
mate. Dank news here on Channel Zarvox every day.
Yeah, Pimp Daddy Jesus, actually a really good name. He asked, is there a FCFC, like a commander controlling the FCs of all fleets? Is what he asked during a fight like yesterday, and yes, there is. Usually there's one person that coordinates all the fleets, because obviously we're looking at the overall goal, which yesterday was to take the MTECO hub. So there's somebody who keeps an eye up on what all the fleets do and kind of controls where they are and where they have to be to win the timer.
And how do you, like, because obviously there's a lot of people involved in the Allied forces who have never really been friendly with each other before. So has there been like a lot of bullshit with like deciding who's going to be in charge? No, I want to be in charge, or is there anything like that, or has it been a pretty...
No,
it's been
like
pretty straightforward.
No, it's just like, how do I put this? People just step up and do it, and everybody kind of follows them at this point. Like, I mean, like it's true. There's a lot of alliances involved in this coalition that have been fighting each other like 2 weeks ago, and that have been hating on Reddit and everywhere on each other like a couple months ago. But when it comes to killing the goons or fighting the goons, right? It's a greater thing that everybody's just signing up with. So sometimes there is moments on the coalition Discord where everybody's just going ham and shouting at each other, but like during combat situations like yesterday, everybody is quiet, everybody follows the instructions, and everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. And then we go back to shitting on each other in the downtime, pretty much. It's great. I actually think that's why we had so much success until now, because all of these alliances are independent. Everybody fights this war the way they want to fight it. There's nobody that tells them how to fight it. Test can fight this war how Test would like to fight it. PL fights this war how we like to fight it. And everybody does what they want. And we work together, and it works really well so far. Yeah,
it seems to have been working pretty well so far, for sure. So what do you think what's going to be the factor that's going to tip the odds in either side's favor? It was asked by Feral Bear.
I mean, CO2 would join us. It's a big thing. I think we saw yesterday. Yesterday we outnumbered the CFC pretty impressively, which is actually a thing that hasn't happened for a very long time. Which we started realizing that we could outnumber the goons last week during the 2DW CSA timer, which is actually the point where, like, after that timer, the day after that CSA timer, I declared war on the CFC with PL, because at that point, yeah, like a lot of people in PL realized, oh fuck, like we can actually do it this time, right? There's been so many invasions versus the CFC before, and it has always failed because the CFC always had a bigger subcapital. But in 2DW last week, suddenly we outnumbered them by like 400 people, and people that then opened the eyes of lots of people. Like they were like, "Oh man, we're actually outnumbering them now." Like the big thing that the CFC always had was having more subcaps than the enemy. And yesterday we formed about like we almost outnumbered them 2-1, 3-1. Like we had 3,500 people in our coalition formed, right? And they had about like 1.6k people formed.
Yep.
So I think that's a really big sign. And if CO2 now even joins the sites, which made up a lot of the CFC forces yesterday, I think they're pretty outnumbered. But like I said, the goons it's not the first time this is happening to the goons, and they're really good at turtling up and making a war as aids as possible for the enemy. So
yep.
Yeah, we'll see how it continues to go.
I mean, even you just talking about that, and I don't really, like, I've got friends on both sides. Like, I'm completely impartial to who wins, but it gives me, like, nerd chills thinking about how long this entire game, or at least nullsec, has been dominated by the CFC. I mean, how long has it been since anyone's been able to say that they outnumber the CFC? Like 5 years, more than 5 years? I don't know. How long has it been?
That's actually a good question. I can't, like, it's been a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think since I've started playing 4.5 years ago, I'm pretty sure even then they were absolutely unassailable, you know? So it's a pretty huge deal. It's like, it's making history in the game, something that hasn't happened in the better part
is kind of what tipped it over, because before BTEC-R, the CFC might have had the subcapital dominance already, but before BTEC-R happened, everybody assumed, well, but N3, but NC and PL have the capital dominance, right? But BTEC-R kind of opened the eyes that, well, now the goons don't only have the subcapital dominance, but they also have the capital dominance, right? And that's the point where everybody thought or started thinking, oh, the CFC is invincible. So I would say that on this, like the way it has been for the last 2 years, pretty much since BTEC-R, I think it's been like that since BTEC-R. And it's a pretty big thing, like I said, actually outnumbering them, and by not just by a couple, but actually by a lot is definitely a big thing.
What do you think about capital superiority? So if it does come to, like you were saying, another BTAC-R, and you've got the entire of the allied forces, you know, versus, you know, there's a lot of people saying that the Imperium has a ridiculous amount of caps, you know, that they can field if they need to. What do you think if it comes to that? Like, the numbers are going to be like, do you think it's a complete unknown? Do you think that you guys, I mean, say without CO2, just as it stands right now, if it comes to that, is it going to be a pretty evenly matched fight or what?
It's hard to say. CFC definitely, like, they do have a lot of super caps, a lot, but we also have a lot, and to some extent, subcaps do matter in that fight. Usually, if you control subcapital grid, you also win the capital fight, right? So, that's, people think that, like, a decision on whether or not to go on a capital escalation or stuff like these decisions are made weeks before and you planned everything through, but usually it's a matter of minutes, maybe hours. You fight approaches and you decide, all right, do we want to escalate or do we not want to escalate? We have a lot of spies, we have a lot of people that can give us information, all right, this is about how many dudes they have right now, blah blah. So we can estimate, we can think of, how do I say this? We have a number in mind before we go into a fight of what they can possibly bring, and if we feel comfortable to escalate against it, then we're going to do it.
That brings
Pretty much, that's how I would put it.
That brings up the next question, which is, what do you feel about the mythical Horn of Gondor?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, but like, there hasn't been a State of the Union yet, and Mitani announced yesterday during his fireside chat that there will be a State of the Union. He just doesn't know when yet. So we'll see what the State of the Union does to the numbers of the CFC. It usually pushes them by quite a bit. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm not afraid of it. I think it will boost them, but we're just gonna keep crushing them, even with the Horn of Gondor.
The Horn of Gondor. What do you think will happen now? This is obviously but what do you think happens if/when CFC are finished? Will 0.0 warfare be finished? Defeating the last big power block seems to be the end of 0.0 PvP. What's your thought on what will happen if they are finished?
That's a really good question.
It's a really
That's
good
another
question.
big. It's another really big part about why I love the coalition that we have right now, because none of us actually want to stay blue to each other or anything. So
No.
say that we actually managed to kill the goons. Like I said, it's way too early to say that, but say we actually managed to do it, or we not kill the goons, but break apart the CFC or the rest of it, right? What's going to happen is all these alliances that are part of our coalition right now are just going to go back to doing their ways, right? And everybody's just going to go back to doing what they've been doing before, and I think that's a good thing. I personally think that coalitions like the CFC that are still in place right now actually kind of ruin the 0-0 experience, especially in a world post Fozizov, right? I think in the Fozizov world, it would be a lot of fun to have EVE full of groups that are able to form, around about 100 dudes or some stuff like that, right?
Yep.
So I think what will happen is the coalition that we have will break apart. Every alliance will go their way. Jedit will still be recruiting, and I don't know. Everybody's just gonna do their thing. I don't think it's gonna be the end of 0-0 warfare. I think it's gonna be
The beginning
a lot
of something
more
new.
it's gonna be it's gonna be a different, a new era maybe of EVE Online, where people actually fight in their local areas and all that stuff. We'll see about that.
A lot of people
I'm really
seem
bad
to
at
be.
predicting things.
It is a hard. I mean, it's of course it's like predicting what's going to happen in human society if we make this one little change, to the law or something. It's a difficult prediction, but a lot of people seem to think that having less huge power blocks controlling the space and more small alliances controlling the space is just going to result in so much more fun fights, less uber blobs, which are arguably less fun than just small gangs. But who can say? It's a tough one. Let me just have a quick look through the chat, see if there's any more good questions.
If Imperium breaks up completely, who will have the dominant capital fleet in EVE? I mean, probably NC or PL. But the goons themselves have a lot too. So looking at the fact that the Imperium will break apart as a coalition, but the goons as an alliance will still be in game, right? The goons have a lot of Supercaps and Titans as well. So it'll probably be like NC, PL, and goons at that point. There's a lot of other groups that have a lot of supers that just don't use them very often, which is why people don't recognize them. So there's a lot of groups that probably I don't even know about how many actual supers they have, because they just don't use them. But I hope that with with the breaking of a coalition like the Imperium or the CFC, that people like those will actually start using theirs as well, and maybe we'll see a lot of super cap activity. Also, maybe the changes will do a lot. The capital changes. We'll see about that.
Yeah, that's another. I mean, that's just off the top of my head. Just as you said that, do you think that? And this is a really hard one to say, but do you think that the war, as it is at the moment, is going to continue on through beyond the patch? Do you think everything's going to be done by the time the first Citadel release comes out, or what's your thoughts?
Oh, sorry. What? Can you say it again?
When the next patch comes out, do you think that the war will still be will still be raging by then, or will it have sort of will something have happened by then that it's going to cause the
it's a month out, right? So like like I said, people think, oh, they've taken 2 regions within 2 weeks, this war's going to be over next week. It's just not what it is. This war is going to take probably a while, and it's actually a part I'm really excited about, because in mid-war suddenly we will have these new capital mechanics, and we will have these citadels and all that, right? So that's just gonna make even spice the war up a bit, right? So far it's been pretty basic, and it's been the war has been since Fozizov, and then mid this war somebody comes in and changes a lot of the game again. So I'm looking forward to it.
And that'll be
the war
really
will
interesting.
still be going on at that point.
Yeah, if the war is still going on, and most people, and from what you're saying, it seems like it probably will be. If the Allies keep it up and keep pushing, then it probably will be. That's just going to make it even more interesting, because there's going to be new doctrines. There's going to be completely different capital fleets. Everything's going to change. Let me have another look. Oh yeah, so the CFC is known for being focused and carrying out long campaigns how's PL and others in the coalition keeping their membership motivated for the long slog this war will be? And like as a side question, is there going to be, I mean, do you worry about much infighting in the meantime? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's something that I can't predict. I mean, I'm trying my best to keep the people motivated. Fights like yesterday are really good. Are pretty good at keeping people motivated. People actually log back in. We've had a lot of free subscriptions from people that have that are pretty much just playing to fight the goon, and so people are logging back in. People are resubscribing because they see, oh shit, there's actually a war going on again, which it hasn't been for the last 2 years. I hope that the motivation is going to stay, but yeah, that's a tough one. That's one of the big advantages I see the CFC having in this war is exactly that, because they have a much bigger pool of players. You can, you have to keep in mind that the goons alone are an alliance with 17,000 dudes, right? So let's say the first 400 people are bored within the goons, they still have another 400 and another 400 and another 400 that can log in and fight, right? And that's a resource that they have, which we are probably going to struggle at some point. But yeah, that's just we're going to have to do our best as SDFCs to keep the people motivated. We have to deliver them fun fleets so they keep logging in and they don't get bored. So yeah, I don't think they will outlast us. This one, it's going really good. People have a lot of momentum right now. There will be losses. There will be a bigger loss too, but people will keep logging in. People will stay motivated, I'm pretty sure.
So this is a bit unrelated question, but it's a good question, I think. What's the best or most fun Merc contract you guys have ever had? PL, that is, I mean.
Yeah, that's a tough question because I've only been in PL for like 1.5 years now.
Fair enough.
So I can't really go back that far. But from what I've heard, yeah, I can't. We need somebody from the old guard to answer this question.
Yeah.
Because I can't say. I've only been here for 1.5 years. So.
In your time, what's the most fun or the most fun single event that you've had in PL in your time there, or even in EVE?
I mean, I have to say it's what's happening right now. This is what I'm playing for. I started playing EVE. I was like, when I started playing EVE, I always was like, oh, I want to be one of those guys that is commanding big fleets, that is part of that actually makes EVE politics. I want to be a part of that, and I'm actually here now. I'm actually a part of EVE politics now. Yeah. I'm doing this. So so far, what's happening right now, what I'm doing right now is probably the most fun I've been having in EVE since a long time.
Nice. That's good. Is it decided, do you know who's going to take Solvin Tribute in Vale, if at all?
I mean, I don't really care about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's something, if Test wants Vale of the Silent, they can go take it. That isn't really part of how I approach these things. It's not about, we'll probably talk about it at a later stage, but so far it's not been really discussed. And like I said, PL itself, we were not going to take any off at all. PL doesn't do that, so I'm going to leave that up to the coalition members. Ideally, CO2 stays in Tribute.
Yeah, and I guess they're going to be making this. I mean, since they left only within 12 hours ago or something like that, I guess it probably hasn't been discussed too much as to whether they want to stay in their space or who they want to ally with. So it's a hard one to ask as well.
I know that CO2 wants to stay in Tribute, and the goons might want to take their revenge on CO2 or whatever now, but that's not going to happen.
You don't think it'll happen?
I mean, we won't let them happen. We won't let it happen.
Right.
C2, we're gonna back them up if they need it. So
cool.
And goons can try if they want to, but it's not gonna happen.
I love this shit. All right, I love it. It gives me mad nerd chills just listening to all this. It's goddamn great for the game. And that's another question that was asked. What do you think? I mean, I think there's only one answer to this, but what do you think about the numbers? We had last night on Twitch, there was 4,500 people watching my stream alone. There was another couple of thousand watching Dayopa. Could that bring more players? I mean, obviously, yes, I think. What's your thoughts?
It's a big thing. I think that wars like these always bring people to EVE. It gets so much media attention as well, and I really hope that CCP uses this it's something that I've always been a little bit like concerned about. That I think in the past CCP hasn't actually been using these wars enough to actually push their like use it for their own media. I mean, BTEC-R was a big thing and everybody talked about it, yes, but I think there's like a lot more interesting wars that have happened in EVE, and a lot of more interesting fights and stuff, and I think we should capitalize on these way more than we do. So I hope that I hope that streamers like you and other streamers bring a lot of attention to EVE, because the numbers have been going up for people actually watching these streams. So I hope that it will bring a lot of new players. I hope that there will be a nice video like This is EVE. The This is EVE video is the perfect example of what needs to happen more often. Like This is EVE was kind of the perfect video to get people to start playing EVE, and I think there should be a lot more videos like that where they just use the footage that we can provide them. There's so many people that fraps these fights. There's so many people that record the comms. We have so much footage we could throw at CCP if they would ask, and they could make a huge epic war summarizing video to use their resources that a lot of the players don't have, right? I mean, we have really good video makers in PL, but obviously with the technology that CCP has access to, with the stuff that they've been using to make their trailers in the past and stuff, if they would use our footage to make a trailer like that, I think it would be a big thing. I hope they will use that at some point and capitalize on what we provide them.
Yeah, I really feel like it's a good, and there's been a few posts about it as well, but talking about how, what's going on right now in the game is really what brings a lot of people into the game. I mean, like yourself, you want to get involved in the huge fleets and the political aspect, and this is like, the key moments for those exact aspects of the game. And, hopefully it gets marketed, I guess, is for lack of a better word, exploited to some point and shown to the masses as best as they can, because for a lot of people, this is what makes EVE, or what separates EVE from not only every other MMO, every other game on the planet, and it's what makes the game great for a lot of people. So hopefully, this sort of aspect of the game and what's happening right now will get advertised or marketed more.
Yeah, I agree. I think we always hate on CCP, for doing changes that we don't like. But I mean, there's a reason why we all play this game for, like, a lot of us played for decades, right? For more than a decade. And it's because EVE is by far the best game I've ever encountered. It's just like the way EVE works is just so amazing, and I love EVE, and that's why I get so upset about some of the changes, because I just feel like at some changes it feels like CCP is ruining it, and it's like if you try to take my dog away from me or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just
so
don't
close
want
to
this
you.
game to be ruined.
Yeah.
I want EVE to be good. So I hope that this will just. But they have been doing a lot of bad changes recently, in my opinion. But also there's some good coming up. So, for example, the capital changes and stuff. Most of what I see looks pretty solid. I like the Citadel idea and all that. So I'm looking forward to what's to come in the future, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone else in the stream have any more questions? Anyone asked a question earlier that I haven't asked so far? Post your questions if you have any. I'm just going to have a look through my own little notes to see if there's anything I missed.
There's a question here. Ask Killah Bee what his net worth in ISK is. It's about 420 billion ISK.
Oh. How long have you been playing? If you don't mind me asking.
Whatever. So I've been playing for it's actually a good question. So 8 years probably. Yeah.
Right.
8 years. 7 or 8 years.
Let's see. Any more questions, guys?
Where does the Russian Federation drone region fall into the war? I mean, the Russians are always it's always tough to talk about the Russians in EVE, because they usually do what they feel like doing. I mean, it's not impossible that they will join in at some point, but I'm not going to rely on them at this point. There's some Russians already being involved, right? But I mean, I'm guessing you talk about XIX, for example. We'll see what they do. We'll see how they go with this. I think they have to do some internal stuff first, but maybe they join, maybe they don't. At this point, I don't think it matters too much. It would just tip the favor even more to our side. But right now, I feel pretty confident with the forces we have. So that's up to the Russian guys.
There was also, I mean, it's not the Drone Federation Russians, but we saw Afterlife make a bit of an appearance in the battle yesterday. On the side of the Imperium, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that, you know, I mean, like I said, there's already, like, Out of Sight, for example, who are Russians that live in Venal, are already, like, they've been with this war from the beginning. They've been doing amazing work in Venal. So there's already Russian groups involved. Afterlife, as usual, helps the goons. You know, that's because they're goon pets. They've always been goon pets. Then you have who else is involved? You have a lot of you'll have a lot of renters as well coming to join these fights, who come from like Cobalt Edge area and like the drone regions. I don't know if some of them are Russian or not, but there's definitely some Russian involvement already going on. But like the big Russian blob, you know, XIX and all these people are still not really part of this, and we'll see if it happens or not.
There's a few people have asked this, but what do you think? You know, I mean, it's hard to quantify this sort of stuff, but there's a few people asking, you know, what percentage of this war is against goons and how much is against Mittani? I don't know if I want to ask that, but what's your thoughts on that? Is it worth talking about?
I mean, yeah, that's, you know, there's a lot of hate going on and everything, but I don't know, like, yeah, I mean, he's the head of the coalition, and the people that wanna, you know, there's a lot of people that like following him, and so I think when you deal with the CFC, you always have to deal with the Mittani. That's probably all I can say about it. Yeah. But I don't think this war is against the Mittani. Everybody that follows him is obviously willingly following him. So
yeah, that's right.
It's the CFC that we're fighting.
There's a couple of people asking what will happen with Goonsov, but we sort of already covered that. That's not really. We've got Killah Bee from Pandemic Legion here, guys. So he's Pandemic Legion. Oh, you. Thanks for the sub, Sentient Bot. So Pandemic Legion's. Killah Bee said that they're not really interested in taking Sov, and the decisions haven't really been made on a I guess quasi coalition level, or whatever you want to call the allied front, as to who's going to get what Sov. So from what I understand, no one really knows at this point. Any other questions, guys? Or anything else that you want to add overall to anything we've talked about so far, Killah?
I mean, I like, yeah, I think streams like these are awesome. I think it's really good because, you know, obviously a lot of people have a lot of questions. So clearly there's need of streams like this. There's need of Q&As maybe. There's need of stuff. So I really appreciate this. It's a good effort to make the things that are happening, maybe take it away a little bit from what's being posted on Reddit and actually get some reality on it. Because, you know, Reddit propaganda is awesome and I love it. Like, I'm literally doing nothing but browsing Reddit for like 3 hours a day, right?
Yeah, but, same.
It is far up from the actual reality. So, yep. You know, I think these streams are awesome. I think it's a really good job that you're doing here. I like it.
Yeah, no worries, man. I'm glad. It gives me chills just talking about this stuff, and even just hearing about the whole history, about how the shape of the game is going to be affected in a huge way by the next couple of weeks or a couple of months or however long it takes for, you know, the next part of the war to be clear. You know, because at the moment no one really knows what's going to happen next or what the next turning point is going to be. What do you think about Bovril leaving Bastion?
Well, I don't know, dude. Like, I legit don't, like, this is some stuff that I just don't really care about.
Not your
like,
forte, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's just not my business, and I mean, it's a sign. People leaving alliances, people leaving the CFC is a sign, but I actually don't know anything about that corp. I listened yesterday during the stream of I don't actually know what her name is, Chrissy Cat or something, and somebody talked about that brothel, whatever they called, leaving too, but I actually don't know who they are. Apparently some super old mining corp that is like super important or something. Like, I actually don't know.
That was also.
This is not like I'm doing military stuff.
Thing.
I'm the military grunt. So.
Someone asked, PL at the moment is in contract with Iron Bank. Will PL leave goons alone if they pay more?
Since I'm making that call, I don't know or not. Like, even if Mittani would approach me and you know, oh, I'm paying you triple or whatever, double what you're getting by from Iron Bank. Though I don't think it's actually, like, it's not Iron Bank that is paying us anyway. So, I wouldn't take it because I just personally don't want to work with the goons. I'm not gonna pull a needle knight here. So no, that's not gonna happen.
All right, cool. That seems like pretty much everything that the viewers have wanted to ask, and I think, give me a moment, everything that I wanted to ask. Yeah, that's about it. Anything else that you want to add so far?
No, I mean, yeah, this war's being fun. If you wanna be a part of this war, if you wanna fight alongside of the good guys, Horde's always recruiting. Pandemic Horde's a very good place to be, especially if you're a new player. They do a lot of good content and all that, so you should check them out if you wanna be a part of this war. Other than that, you know, keep doing what you're doing and let's have fun. I think.
Man, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's been super fun for me. Hopefully we'll have some more interviews like this and we can chat again at some point as the war progresses.
Yep. Well, I'm always willing to come back, so we'll see how it goes, and, you know, we can do this more often.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been super fun, man. Super fun. It's been great for me. A lot of people have said this is the best interview they've seen in a while. I'm glad that you guys like it. So hopefully when more events unfold, we can get you back on and get your opinion on a bunch more stuff.
Yep, of course. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. My pleasure. Have fun, guys. Say goodbye to Killah Bee, everyone. Mad props for coming on.
Catch you later.
See you, bro.
Your EVE Online experience is not complete without iwantisc.com, an EVE Online themed casino. Join in-game channel iwantisc and follow instructions. Mining, spin some slots. In Warp, enter a raffle. Campaigning Cheetah, scratch a card. Prizes from frigates to jump freighters, modules, implants, BPOs and things. Earn ISK by inviting friends, progress your level and complete various achievements. Watch affiliated streamers on Twitch, take part in events and win free stuff. iwantisc.com.